channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Put the backing track up onto Patreon because that's a really fun one to play. It's kind of based on Lizzie McAlpine's Erase Me, which is a track that she did that Jacob Collier does some backing vocals on. It's a really cool track. Oh, and I was using the Eric lead preset for the lead tones there. If you're interested in trying that for Helix Native, jump into the Gumroad folder. Yeah, you try all my presets basically for a $5, so hopefully that's decent value. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but I feel a bit weird if I ever go away without taking a guitar. I've done it a couple of times in my life, and I decided actually that's not something that suits me particularly well. I guess you can probably tell from like the daily upload schedule or whatever that kind of guitar is an everyday thing for me. I don't take breaks, and yeah, it's kind of just how it is. However, some of you noticed that I was in a garden the other day, and yeah, don't worry, Lenny did find my jazz mags, but we're actually just away on holiday, and so I wanted to do a little video on my setup here because it's a little bit different to usual, and I think I've re-found the reason that something like a desktop amplifier is still necessary for me, because I was of the opinion basically that now that I'm used to using plugins, and if not, I don't know, what else should I be using? Anyway, I just felt like the desktop amplifier in general for me, I didn't necessarily need something like that. Now, this has actually been really useful this week, and I guess you could see from that intro that I'm enjoying basically the freedom of being able to move around and just get into different spaces. I think maybe Alec Bourne, if you're watching this, MIDI Man Scientist, maybe this is what you were telling me about kind of ages ago, where it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I'll show you the rig. The guitar that I've chosen to bring is the ES335, and that's kind of one of the things where you don't really even need to plug it in. And basically it's lightweight, has enough kind of acoustic volume that, yeah, as I say, you don't need to plug it in. You can sort of just jam around in the kitchen with it while you're cooking or whatever. I think that made sense as a choice. It's not the smallest body though, so I think in terms of like size, there are definitely smaller guitars that I could have brought, but I decided to go for something that is fun to play, I guess, and also comfortable, but also lightweight, also kind of decent to play unplugged. I guess you might have the question like, well, why are you going on about this desktop amplifier thingy then? Well, because that whole intro, essentially, the only piece of gear that I've really brought, I did bring an HX Stomp, but I've just left that in the bag, because this was absolutely fine, is the Boss Katana Air, which I did a video on maybe a year and a half ago, and since then it's been with my buddy Jake Loosemore, who's kind of had it as a practice amp, and then I've had it back for a couple of weeks and didn't really think I'd ever use it again. I was going to sell it, but because I've got the Katana head, I thought that would be the thing. But what I'm actually liking about this, so you've got a USB out here, you've got this wireless dongly thingy, and the power supply, and that's all I really needed to bring. I think Yamaha make a version which is battery powered. This can be run on batteries, by the way. I think they're AA batteries, 8 AA batteries, if you can afford that. But yeah, this power supply, wireless, so I'm not having to run cables through the house and have the kids trip over them. And also then just the USB cable. And what I'm actually doing is using the secondary input out of this as the interface, and that's then going into my digital audio workstation. I'm running Reaper on a laptop with Helix Native, and I'm getting the tones that I'm used to getting. So it's absolutely fantastic for that. I'm not really worried about stuff at all. It gets into my workstation. I can do the things that I would normally do. Crucially, I need to take a mouse if I'm going away, because kind of doing editing stuff on a trackpad is a bit difficult. It just slows me down. And the only other thing that I feel like is necessary to pack, just in case you don't really know where PowerPoints might be, is this. But as I show you in that video, I'm able to go kind of around the toilet, around the bathroom, around the house, and just play guitar wherever I'm at. And because it's wireless, I was able to, you know, leave the amplifier inside and go outside and still record and get some kind of interesting, funny, different stuff done. So I'm possibly going to explore doing this kind of thing a little bit more at home. I like this idea of a portable rig, and this is maybe why still having something like this makes sense. Although I thought, like, I've kind of got past the need for a desktop amplifier, here's one use where it really does shine. And there's not really other things that would be as simple as this. As I say, I'm just taking those bits. It's as simple as I've ever traveled away with, and I would definitely be doing that again. So I just wanted to share that as kind of what I think now is my ultimate travel rig. I've done this video before with other rigs. It involved taking cables, it involved all sorts of stuff. I just need what should we call it? USB charger, the kind of printer style cable for my interface, and the jobs are good. And I've also got some headphones. This does have a headphone out, so once the baby's gone to bed, I can still do stuff with that. It's been fantastic. So anyway, I wanted to do that as a video. This is not a sponsored video, but Boss, you know, a couple of years ago did send me this, but it has come in useful for this trip, even if I haven't used it for ages before this. But I'm going to keep this around for this use, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, let me know your ultimate travel rig. For me, I prefer to be using a speaker like this than headphones. Headphones to me kind of just feel a little bit like enclosed, unless there was Airs from Boss, but those I can't record with, so it kind of doesn't tie into my workflow. This ties in perfectly. I think there's the Katana Air X, which is like the posher version of this, which they now have if you're looking for something like that. But as I said, I'm not really even using the Katana onboard sounds. I'm just using it as an interface and speaker, and for that it's doing a fantastic job. Although it's saying in the digital audio workstation there's a 21 millisecond round trip in terms of latency, I'm not feeling that, so I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. So it might not be ideal for some of you that are sensitive to that sort of stuff. And of course, as you're sitting on the toilet with the wireless thing, that does introduce some more latency. So obviously you wouldn't necessarily do that unless you were joking around. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Cheers, and back to our regular scheduling soon.